She Comes First, The Thinking Man's Guide to Pleasuring a Woman, is a complete and detailed guidebook for performing cunnilingus. Author and sex counselor Ian Kerner argues that women require prolonged and consistent clitoral stimulation to achieve orgasm, which can best be provided through oral sex. Since a man is unlikely to bring a woman to orgasm through intercourse, men should help their partners climax before moving on to other acts. Penetration should come only after she does. The book provides readers with an exhaustive explanation of female anatomy and arousal, as well as tips, tricks, and routines they can use to improve and expand their skills at oral sex. Many straight couples think of intercourse as the main event, relegating oral sex to a temporary trick performed briefly during foreplay. Some women and men may even believe that female orgasm should ideally be achieved through vaginal penetration. However, men are unlikely to make women come solely through the use of their penises. The clitoris, which must be stimulated to achieve female orgasm, is located too far from the vaginal opening to be affected during intercourse. Additionally, women require an ample span of time to become aroused, whereas men are more likely to come quickly and then lose interest. The substantial differences in how women and men become aroused can lead to frustrating inequalities in the bedroom, with women left unsatisfied more often than not. Female orgasm was not always considered an afterthought. Before the 1700s, scientists and physicians thought that a woman's fertility was directly affected by whether or not she climaxed. Ancient religions considered female sexuality and arousal to be an integral part of spiritual enlightenment. It wasn't until the 18th century that society developed the notion that women have weaker sexual appetites than men. During this period, the idea of the female orgasm was undermined in social discourse. The belief that women did not have sexual needs continued into the Victorian era, when some doctors even argued that women should avoid orgasms altogether. Many of these archaic attitudes have lingered in modern sexual relations. Male orgasms are seen as part of sex by default. Women's orgasms are seen as a bonus. Even though cunnilingus is the best method for moving a woman to orgasm, many men dread performing it. Women likewise may dread receiving it. Widespread ignorance about female anatomy may render the process mysterious. Societal stigma against the vulva may spark fears that a woman will smell or taste bad, or that bringing a woman to orgasm will take too much time. These factors can make it difficult for a woman to relax and enjoy a session of cunnilingus. A man who is committed to providing consistent orgasms for his partner should eliminate any reservations he has about interacting orally with a woman's genitals. He can do this partially by familiarizing himself with how female genitals work. While it may seem overwhelming at first, learning the proper names of the components that make up a vulva can demystify both a woman's anatomy and the proper way to perform cunnilingus. Men should incorporate more foreplay leading up to cunnilingus, which should be given a starring role during sex. The emphasis should be on building intimacy and sexual tension, rather than how quickly the couple can achieve male orgasm. Once a man has helped a woman orgasm through oral sex, he unlocks the ability to help her come again. Since women are capable of multiple orgasms, any further sexual activity, including intercourse, will likely bring more pleasure. A man should make sure to give his partner time to recover from the first orgasm before more are sought. Any interaction with the clitoris should be slow and gentle, given the sensitivity of the nerve bundle. After a man masters the basics of oral sex, he'll be able to improvise and introduce new techniques that can keep the bedroom playful and creative. By introducing oral stimulation as a staple of the sexual experience, men can ensure that their partners are sexually satisfied, increase intimacy in their relationships, and gain confidence in bed. Key insights. 1. To master cunnilingus, a man must commit to learning female anatomy. 2. Male and female genitals develop in utero from the same material and contain analogous pleasure points. 3. All female orgasms stem from the clitoris. The so-called G-spot is really a cluster of nerves belonging to the clitoral network. 4. Sigmund Freud pioneered and promoted the false notion that women should come through intercourse alone. 5. Bringing a woman to climax takes time and patience. Men should commit to performing cunnilingus until their partner has fully orgasmed. 6. Before performing oral sex, a man must ensure that his partner is comfortable, relaxed, and confident. 7. Although generally viewed as a low-risk activity, cunnilingus still comes with the risk of sexually transmitted diseases. Dental dams can help men stay protected during the act. 8. A man can determine whether his partner has orgasmed by looking for physical cues, such as quickened breath and contractions in the vulva. Analysis. Key Insight 1. To master cunnilingus, a man must commit to learning female anatomy. A number of men are unable to name the components that make up a woman's genitals. This lack of knowledge is somewhat understandable, given the simplistic and inaccurate terms used for female anatomy in common speech. For example, the whole of the genital region, which should properly be called the vulva, is frequently referred to as the vagina. In proper clinical terms, a vagina refers specifically to the canal used for intercourse and giving birth. By learning to identify the different parts of the vulva, men can better understand how to increase their partner's pleasure during sex. They'll know which parts are most sensitive and which parts to stimulate to increase arousal. Knowledge can only serve to illuminate an area that is often shrouded in mystery. A working understanding of female anatomy is important for both partners to have, in part because it promotes gynecological health. According to a 2017 Health magazine article, half of the men surveyed by British non-profit The Eve Appeal could not identify the vaginal cavity on an illustration of a woman's reproductive system. Nearly half of the women who participated in the survey couldn't find the vagina either. 80% of men were not sure if they could identify worrying changes in the vulva that could indicate cancer. Nearly 1/5 said they didn't care to learn more about female anatomy. The attitude that a man should not understand a woman's body might lead him to miss signs that his partner's health is in danger. Rather than viewing women's reproductive organs as mere conduits for orgasm, men should take the time to learn about gynecological health so that they can help their partners lead long, fruitful lives. Women who are unfamiliar with their own anatomy should take steps to address their lack of information as well. When a couple is armed with proper knowledge of human anatomy, they'll be able to better identify and communicate health concerns. Key Insight 2. Male and female genitals develop in utero from the same material and contain analogous pleasure points. During early stages of pregnancy, all fetuses are essentially female. Human genitals don't take on characteristic male or female forms until the end of the first trimester. Since human reproductive systems develop from a common embryonic starting point, their components and mechanical workings are remarkably similar when compared side by side. A clitoris is made up of a head, shaft, and base, just like a phallus. When aroused, a woman's clitoris swells and enlarges, as does a penis. It's helpful to think of female anatomy as analogous to men's. The major difference is that, while a man's reproductive organs are visible, much of female anatomy remains hidden to the naked eye. Early Greek philosophers and physicians such as Galen and Aristotle were astute in hypothesizing that male and female anatomy shared numerous similarities, although the Greeks' exact theories on human reproduction missed the mark by a fair margin. Hippocrates and Galen believed that both men and women produce semen, while Aristotle believed that men contributed the primary building blocks for creating a human being. The idea that both men and women possess sperm-carrying testes persisted well into the 12th century. Physicians and scholars were fascinated by the uterus, which was rumored to migrate around the body, causing maladies and hysteria in women. The uterus was seen as a toxic organ that poisoned its host and caused illnesses specific to women. Some academics hypothesized wildly about the ability of the uterus to carry children, speculating that the womb was divided into as many as 7 chambers, each of which could carry a fetus simultaneously. Research and speculation into the workings of male genitalia was far less common, mostly because physicians believed that they already knew all the crucial details about men's reproductive systems. Inattention to male anatomy led to some interesting theories about how sperm is produced. Some philosophers in the 14th century argued that semen is made by a man's brain and carried to his genitals via his spine. Key Insight 3. All female orgasms stem from the clitoris. The so-called G-spot is really a cluster of nerves belonging to the clitoral network. Sex columnists often write about the different kinds of orgasms women can experience through stimulation. An orgasm achieved through G-spot stimulation is sometimes seen as more desirable, if more difficult to attain, than orgasms achieved by interacting with the clitoral head. However, the G-spot is just a region of skin inside the vagina that protects the urethra from damage during sex. Since the clitoral network extends throughout the vulva, it's likely that the G-spot is simply a collection of nerves belonging to the clitoris. Attempting to differentiate between orgasmic experiences can reinforce the false notion that penetration alone can lead a woman to climax. Society's fascination with the supposed orgasmic power of the G-spot has led some women to undergo surgeries that allegedly enhance its potential. A 2018 New Scientist article describes the case of 3 women who underwent a procedure to improve their G-spot sensitivity in 2013. The women submitted to a Florida surgeon who cut out a portion of their vaginal wall and then stitched the gap back together, with the goal of restoring the vaginal tightness the women experienced before giving birth to children. After the surgeries, the women reported that they were able to climax solely through vaginal penetration again. As a consequence, they engaged in sex more frequently with their partners. Other procedures also promise to improve G-spot sensitivity. One practice involves doctors injecting collagen into a woman's vaginal wall. Michigan State University professor Devin Stahl, who specializes in clinical ethics, told New Scientist that doctors who offer G-spot enhancement procedures are just capitalizing on women's insecurities about their own bodies. The procedures send the message that if a woman can't reach orgasm through intercourse, then there must be something wrong with her physiology. Key Insight 4. Sigmund Freud pioneered and promoted the false notion that women should come through intercourse alone. The idea that vaginal orgasms are possible, or indeed preferable, can be credited directly to Austrian neuroscientist Sigmund Freud, the father of psychoanalysis. Freud argued that the clitoris was an inferior method for achieving female orgasm, and said that it only served to weaken a woman's ability to achieve superior release through vaginal penetration. Freud's views on the correct way to achieve female orgasm were shaped not by anatomy or science, but by his belief that sexual gratification should be centered around the penis. While his theories are not promoted in academia today, they continue to have lasting effect on societal notions of how women should experience arousal and sexual pleasure. Freud's belief in the unconscious mind and his introduction of talk therapy into the realm of psychiatric treatment made lasting contributions to the field, but his work is reviled by many psychologists today, particularly for his views on female sexuality and homosexuality. A 2013 article in IO9 explains that very few therapists and sexuality researchers ascribe to his more controversial theories, including the Oedipal complex, which hypothesized that children naturally feel desire toward their opposite-sex parent and express jealousy and anger toward their same-sex parent. His belief that the mind is comprised of psychic components called the id, the ego, and the superego has also received no scientific backing in the intervening decades. Although Freud was mistaken in many of the theories he promoted, he provided a catalyst for ongoing work in the field of psychology. Without Freud's shaky hypotheses about the human mind, psychologists might not have conducted further research into how the unconscious shapes an individual's experiences. Research into how the mind shapes memories can also be traced back to Freud's initial musings about defense mechanisms and suppressed memories. Key Insight 5. Bringing a woman to climax takes time and patience. Men should commit to performing cunnilingus until their partner has fully orgasmed. Whereas men can climax in a matter of minutes, women often need more time to reach orgasm. A man can expect to spend anywhere from 15 to 45 minutes performing cunnilingus before a woman is able to find release. It's important for a man to get comfortable before he begins, so that he does not suffer from fatigue and end the session prematurely. Men should not complain about the length of time it takes for a woman to come, and instead should simply relax and enjoy the experience. When a woman feels pressure to get there quickly, worry and tension will likely delay her orgasm even further. Although many straight couples seek to prolong their sexual encounters, most just attempt to increase the amount of time spent performing intercourse, instead of introducing more foreplay and oral sex. A 2015 article in The Cut argues that the desire to increase the duration of sex can be traced back to heightened awareness surrounding female arousal during the sexual revolution of the 1960s and 1970s. Around that time period, William H. Masters and Virginia E. Johnson introduced the idea of premature ejaculation and declared that men who came before their partners were at least half of the time ejaculating prematurely. Intercourse between heterosexual couples usually doesn't last longer than 10 minutes, but most couples report that they'd like to double that time. Pop culture frequently adds to the idea that couples should be having sex for longer time periods, with numerous songs and movies praising the idea of a sexual encounter that lasts the entire night. Despite the fact that increased awareness of female sexuality spurred the desire to increase the duration of sex, emphasis is still placed on intercourse, not on sex acts like cunnilingus that could actually satisfy a woman. Key Insight 6. Before performing oral sex, a man must ensure that his partner is comfortable, relaxed, and confident. By the time she's sexually mature, a woman has likely absorbed numerous toxic messages about her body. She may worry that she won't achieve orgasm through cunnilingus, or that she will disgust the man who is servicing her. A responsible man will assuage a woman's fears by offering her the 3 assurances. First, a man should emphasize that he enjoys performing cunnilingus. Second, he should remind his partner that she should not feel pressured to orgasm quickly. Finally, a man should reinforce that he finds his partner's smell and taste desirable. These affirmations can diminish a woman's anxiety and allow her to enjoy cunnilingus more. Women who are nervous about experiencing cunnilingus should consider providing more feedback while their partners are going down on them. A 2013 Cosmopolitan article reassures women that men are not going to abandon their battle stations if a woman lets her partner know that a certain technique is not providing her with the right kind of stimulation. Men benefit best from precise directions. Suggestions like slow down, move lower, or speed up could greatly improve a partner's performance by letting him know when he's on the right track. If a woman is nervous about giving such directives during cunnilingus, author Cosmo Frank suggests delivering the feedback in seductive, hushed tones. If women praise men when they perform oral sex well, those men are more likely to repeat the same winning techniques in the future, leading to a positive feedback loop of more orgasms and better sex. Key Insight 7. Although generally viewed as a low-risk activity, cunnilingus still comes with the risk of sexually transmitted diseases. Dental dams can help men stay protected during the act. While most sexually active people are familiar with using a condom to protect against sexually transmitted diseases, the same cannot be said for dental dams. The thin squares of latex, which are also used in dentistry, can unfairly be seen as damning evidence that a woman is a risky sex partner. However, if men are engaging in casual sex with multiple partners, they have a responsibility to protect themselves and the women they sleep with from STDs. Dental dams can be found in pharmacies or ordered through the internet. In a pinch, plastic cling wrap can be laid over the vulva before a man performs cunnilingus. Many colleges and health centers are quick to hand out condoms, but it's more difficult to find free dental dams. If a condom is available but no dental dam is to be found, a couple can DIY their own using the more common contraceptive device. After checking the condom's expiration date, simply snip off the tip of the condom and the ring around the end. This will leave an open latex tube. Cut along the length of the condom to create a stretchy rectangle that can then be applied over the vulva or the anus. Dental dams were first commercially marketed for oral sex in the early 1990s, but their popularity has not increased over time. A 2014 article in The Verge explains that the protective device is not popular even among lesbians and bisexual women, who are the primary target market for the product. A Planned Parenthood clinic in New York reported receiving an average of 5 requests per month for dental dams, a remarkably low number for a city with a large lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender population. Key Insight 8. A man can determine whether his partner has orgasmed by looking for physical cues, such as quickened breath and contractions in the vulva. Since orgasm is difficult to achieve, and most sexual emphasis is placed on intercourse, women can feel pressured to fake their orgasms, rather than provide honest feedback about whether they came. Men who don't understand female arousal may be easily fooled by a faker's bedroom theatrics, which leaves his partner unsatisfied and reinforces the idea that her orgasm is not of equal importance. The only way to discern a true orgasm from a fake one is to look for telltale physical signs of climax. During an actual orgasm, men will observe rapid breathing, higher body temperature, and increased heart rate. The vaginal opening and anus will also erratically tense and release when a woman comes. There are a number of reasons why a woman might decide to put on a performance for her partner, rather than admit she hasn't climaxed. In a 2013 Cosmopolitan article, writer Anna Breslaw theorizes that society's focus on men's orgasms has left women with little insight into what kind of sex acts they might enjoy. Armed with little knowledge that she can use to direct the sexual encounter, a woman might instead decide to focus on creating the illusion that both parties have been fully satisfied. Women want to please their partners, and it's tempting to tell a man what he wants to hear rather than letting him know the truth. Especially if a woman really likes a man, she may worry that asking for an orgasm will make him feel inadequate or cause resentment. Intoxication can also render a woman less capable of orgasm. A drunk woman may know she's not going to get there, but may still want to show her partner that she's enjoying the experience. Regardless of why a woman decides to pretend to have an orgasm, the practice ultimately does neither party any favors. Men who believe they brought their woman to orgasm are likely to repeat the same dull tricks during the next session of cunnilingus, leaving the woman with the option of either coming clean or faking it again. If a man finds out his partner has been lying about achieving orgasm, he may feel betrayed and suffer a decrease in confidence during future bedroom escapades. Important people. Ian Kerner is a sex counselor and licensed psychotherapist who lives in New York City. He's the author of multiple books on sex and sexuality, and has been a guest on daytime talk shows such as The Dr. Oz Show and The Today Show. Sigmund Freud, 1856 to 1939, was an Austrian neurologist famed for inventing psychoanalysis. He popularized several controversial theories about sexuality, including the idea that orgasms produced by clitoral stimulation are inferior to ones achieved through intercourse. Napoleon Bonaparte, 1769 to 1821, was a French military leader who gained distinction during the French Revolutionary Wars and eventually became emperor. In letters to his wife, Josephine, he wrote longingly of giving her oral sex. William H. Masters, 1915 to 2001, and Virginia E. Johnson, 1925 to 2013, were American scientists who advanced the study of arousal, sexual response, and sexual dysfunction. Author's style. As a former playwright, Ian Kerner knows the importance of setting a scene, both for readers and for partners in the bedroom. He frequently discusses sex in literary terms, referring to the stages of arousal as a narrative. In fact, the mission of She Comes First is approached with writing in mind. Kerner explains that he hopes to provide a guide to cunnilingus so thorough it could be compared to William Strunk Jr. and E.B. White's The Elements of Style. His book has arguably received comparable praise. In a New York Times article recommending Kerner's book, columnist and author Amy Sohn calls She Comes First the Encyclopedia Britannica of the clitoris. Kerner's writing is peppered with tongue-in-cheek, even unconventional literary and historical references. He reimagines a memorable sentence from Friedrich Engels and Karl Marx's The Communist Manifesto, repurposing it for the Cunnilingus Manifesto. Napoleon Bonaparte, a feared military leader, is upheld as an aficionado of oral sex. Kerner argues that men must learn about female sexuality and the vulva to become adept at cunnilingus. The first half of the book largely serves as an anatomy lesson, although historical attitudes and social stigma toward vulvas are also discussed. The second half is devoted to technique. She Comes First includes several glossaries of important terms related to female anatomy and sexual arousal. Illustrations by artist Naomi Pitcairn provide readers with a method for better visualizing the acts Kerner is describing. She Comes First contains 48 chapters, as well as an introduction and conclusion. Most chapters are short, some are only a page in length. An appendix containing suggested cunnilingus routines is included at the end, as well as a template readers can use to create their own routines. Author's perspective. Ian Kerner didn't intend to become a cunnilingus guru. He first started experimenting with the sex act while looking for a way to compensate for premature ejaculation. Kerner soon discovered that when it comes to giving women orgasms, oral sex outperformed intercourse in every way. Cunnilingus also provided Kerner with an outlet where he could focus on his partner's pleasure, rather than his own sexual inadequacies. He believes that premature ejaculation problems stem partially from societal messages that teach young boys to masturbate quickly and in secret, which can leave straight men without the patience necessary for pleasing a woman. Kerner's primary message is that a man should not put his own orgasm ahead of a woman's. If he is deserving of pleasure, then she is too, even if her climax takes more patience and time. His book carefully addresses common concerns and excuses men express about oral sex. He provides guides in the back for how to give oral sex when a woman is menstruating or pregnant. Kerner encourages readers to see cunnilingus as a shared activity, rather than a solo accomplishment. He emphasizes that readers should strive to make their partners feel confident and comfortable during each session of oral sex. Kerner has a PhD in clinical sexology. He's written several books about sexuality and relationships, including She Comes First sequel, He Comes Next, The Thinking Woman's Guide to Pleasuring a Man. His works have been referenced by multiple media outlets and television shows, including NPR, The New York Times, The Today Show, and The Dr. Oz Show.